All right, differentiated phonics accent. What? Hey everyone, as I am filming this video, most of you are full swing into back to school season. Either you are already starting your PD days, some of you already have students in the classroom. So I would love to kind of check in with you and hear, what grade are you teaching? Did you already start your back to school season? If not, when do you begin? Let me know down in the comments. I also thought I would use this time to catch you up on what I'm up to this year. So most of you already know I had taught first grade for the longest period of time. I taught in both Las Vegas, Nevada for a few years, as well as up here in Massachusetts. And then I was a K-2 literacy teacher for a year, which I loved. And then I took a little bit of time off to get my master's degree. While I was getting my master's degree and raising my young boys, I started subbing at a K-2 school here in my local district. So it's the school that my boys go to, as well as, my local community school. So this year I am continuing with that. Honestly, there were quite a few different job openings this past summer that made me be like, do I want to apply? Do I want to apply? But I decided I'm going to continue subbing instead. Not only does it help out because there's a huge sub shortage. Honestly, I could have been in there every single day last year if I had wanted to, but that's not really possible with the other work I was doing and also being in grad school. So this year I plan to help out even a little bit more. Maybe a few times a week I'll be in the classroom, and it just gives me a good opportunity to, help out my local community, make sure my boys have some good subs at their school, and help out the teachers there too. So I really enjoy it. I love the students, and that's my plan for this upcoming year. All right, as for this video, I'm going to share 5 differentiated phonics centers that you can use in your K-2 classroom. Now, I love these types of phonics centers because while they are differentiated, they're differentiated by skill. So what that means is, as the teacher, you only have to teach students how to play one center, or in this case, there'll be 5. But for each one, they play or, do the activity, complete the activity the same way. So all students can be doing the same activity at the same time, but then they have the opportunity to work on the skills that they need. So, it's not the same skill for everybody. So it's great. Now, what I love about using these types of phonics centers is essentially with each one, you're only teaching students how to complete one activity, right? You're teaching them the same activity, the same process of how to complete it, and they're either doing it with a partner, or most of these are actually independent, so they will be student-led, completely independent. But each student will be working on different skills. So it's differentiated in terms of the actual phonics skill that they're working on, even though all students are completing the same type of activity. Over the past few years, I've created a bunch of different phonics centers that allow you to do this, but in today's video, I am sharing 5 of my favorites. So if you are ready to see what they are, give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and let's dive in. Alright, phonics center number 1 that I want to share with you is actually going to be 2 different phonics centers, but they are extremely similar. So I wanted to just show you how they slightly differ because one of them might be better for your needs than the other. So let me start with 1A, and this is going to be spin, say, spell. Here is a picture of what this looks like, and the activity is basically as it says. Students will go ahead and spin the spinner down at the bottom. They will say the word aloud, and then they will go ahead and spell it. So this is going to be for encoding practice, and I have these sheets for a bunch of different phonics skills, starting from CVC short A words, all the way through diphthongs, R-controlled vowels, and more. In this picture right here, students are working on long vowel teams, specifically long vowel O, spelled O-A or O-W. So here it looks like the 4 pictures are coat, mow, blow, and road. So students will go ahead and spin the spinner, spin. They will say the word aloud, say, and then they go ahead and spell it over on the side. And they will continue to do this. They can do this with a partner, or they can do it independently, and they will just do it 10 times until they fill up their board. It's a great activity for that phoneme-grapheme correspondence, so they can think about the phonemes they hear in the word and then go ahead and write them down or practice encoding them. And of course, this would be a review center. All of the ones I'm sharing today, they are mostly seen as student-led kind of independent activities, which means they should already know how to, use the skill. They should already know those phonemes and what graphemes represent them. This isn't something that you just kind of teach them once and then have them go do. Many of your students could do these independently as a review review, but also if you wanted to use these in small group practice, it's a good time to kind of reteach and then watch over those students to make sure they're not practicing it incorrectly. And then once you feel like they have the skill under wraps, then you can send them off to do it by themselves. All right, activity 1B, like I said, is very similar, but it has a few scaffolds that I really like. So you may want to use this in conjunction with, say, spin spell, or you may use it, separately. It's up to you. But this one is called Say, Tap, Write. Now here there are two different options. You can see up in the top there is a little ring card, and then there's also a printable version down here. And Say, Tap, Write has more of that phoneme, grapheme mapping aspect to it, and it actually gives students the correct amount of phonemes or sounds to go ahead and tap. So it adds a little tactile action into there as well. And this one in particular, the one on the green clipboard, students are working on digraphs. So we have sheep, chip, bath, chest, brush, and trash. Now here students will say it, sheep, they'll tap the sounds they hear, sh, e, p, and they'll actually go ahead and tap on each of those little black dots, and then they will write down the sounds they hear in each box. Now the cards you see on the little rings above, those are colored versions and they are color coded by different skill, going from CVC words, digraphs, blends, long vowel teams, so on. So again, these are very differentiated. The little cards I would definitely use in a small group center. So I would have students use a whiteboard when they are writing it down. And then the practice sheets, which are down below, the black and white ones, students would do independently. So these can be used for, both kinds of options. Now another little difference is those Say, Tap, Write cards, the ones with the little black boxes that you tap, those are categorized in a bigger category. So for instance, there's a bunch of CVC cards, there's a bunch of silent E cards, a bunch of digraph cards, but they aren't broken down into each individual one. For example, all the CVC cards will cover all of those short vowels. They won't cover, there are specific cards in there for short A, short I, short O, short U, short E, but they aren't separated like the other sheets are in that first one, the spin, say, and spell. Those you can actually have a couple different short A sheets, a couple different short E sheets, and then when students are ready to review all of them, they could go over to the other activity and kind of practice their skills together. So slightly different, but they all practice the same type of skill. So that was Phonics Center number 1, A and B. Let's move on to number 2. Differentiated Phonics Center number 2 is one of my all-time favorites. If you have been watching my channel for a while, you've probably seen me talk about it before, but it is my one-page decodable interventions. Here is an example of what one might look like, and for each skill that students will work on, up in the right-hand corner there it identifies the skill, so this one is going to be TH, but for each skill there are actually 3 different practice sheets that students can use. Now I call these intervention sheets because they are actually perfect to do in a small group with your students, but they can also be used independently. Basically what each student will do is they will follow along the same process for each of the sheets that they're given, regardless of the skill. So again, all students are completing the same activity, but their target skill might be a little bit different. Up at the top, we have 4 different sounds that students are going to review, and then they go into the target skill in individual words. So here students are practicing that TH sound, and they will go ahead and read each of those words. Then they will move on to decodable sentences. Is the stick thick or thin? There was a sloth on the path. Thank you for the cloth. And I tell students to read each of those about 3 times so they can practice their fluency. Down on the bottom left, there is a place for students to practice dictation. So in a small group, of course, I would give students 2 different words with the target skill and they would practice writing it. But if students are doing this independently, I would have them go back into those sentences and find a word with the target skill and write it down on the line. So they would do that twice. You can even have them circle the word that they find in the sentence. And then go ahead and write them on the lines. And lastly, I love it on the bottom right, there is a spot for some comprehension. So they have to just quickly draw a sketch to illustrate one of the sentences above. And that just shows you afterwards that, they understand what they're reading. In that one-page decodable intervention unit, I have over 114 completely different pages that students can work on. Like I said, for each skill as they walk through the progression from, short A CVC words all the way through diphthongs, 2-syllable words, all sorts of fun stuff, soft G, soft C, tons of different skills. If you go and download the preview, this is what the product looks like. You can see all the different skills included, and I even have an editable sheet that you can go in and type in whatever skill your students are working on, whether they might need more practice on one of those and maybe 3 sheets isn't enough, or if you have a different skill that I haven't added to the unit yet, you could go ahead and do that there. But I absolutely love that unit. Perfect to differentiate because students, again, walk through the same process. Once they get used to it, they can just keep building as they learn new skills. Differentiated Phonics Center number 3 that I love is called Flip It, Say It, Make It, Write It. Now, as you can tell, I like a lot of activities that kind of say what the directions are so students get used to it, but there are going to be 4 parts to this type of center, and it brings back some tactile motion and movement for students, which is always beneficial when teaching phonics. Here's a picture of what this activity looks like. Basically, students will get a sheet right here that says flip it, say it, make it, and write it, and then they will get cards based on their skill. This is where you differentiate it. So here are some CVC cards. There's a bunch of them that you can go ahead and laminate and cut out so you can keep them longer, and then also so you can sort them by different skill. This one has CVC, silent E, digraphs, blends, vowel teams, diphthongs, and R-controlled vowels. So based on what your students are working on, they will follow the same 4 steps. I put all the picture cards face down, so they will go ahead and flip the card first. They will say the image aloud so they can hear the different phonemes. And then this is where the tactile action comes in, where students will use a tactile tool to make the word. This is going to be before they write it. So as they hear those phonemes, they will go ahead and make the word. Here you can do this with magnets, which is pretty easy, letter tiles. Here I have some little letters on a string. I think I got that from Lakeshore. They could use Play-Doh, they could use, sand or salt in a tray. However you want to do it, it's up to you. That can also kind of keep it, exciting by switching that out. So students will make the word first, and then lastly, they will write it on the lines. And they will shuffle up those cards and they will do it 10 times. Like I said, this is CVC words, so we have net, fox, zip, and then those other 2 are web and map. Now, students could do that completely independently, but there also are a bunch of those cards. I think there's about 30 or so for each category. So students could really shuffle that up and take turns doing it with a partner. So they each pull different words and they can kind of collect them and keep them on their own side, but they could do that with a partner as well. Okay, differentiated phonics center number 4 that I love is, I think, going to be one of your new favorites too. It is something that, as I'm doing this video right now, it's not even out on TPT or in the Literacy Club just yet. It is getting its finishing touches, and it's going to start as a growing bundle, both on TPT and in the Literacy Club, but they are my decodable mini books. Now, I told you with Phonics Center number 2, those 1-page interventions, that teachers absolutely loved them, and it's my favorite new resource that I've created. But many teachers were saying they love the sentences, but they would also love to see some longer passages set up in a similar way. So my solution to that were these decodable mini books. Let me show you how they work. Okay, so here are the little mini decodable books. They're called I Can Read and Write. This one, the target sound is short A words, so CVC short A words. To make the book, you will simply fold it down first. Students will fold down, or you can do this for them first, it's up to you, and then fold over to make its own little mini book. So I Can Read and Write, they will write their name on the front. Mrs. Jones. My pencil is dull. And then the front will just have some target words that will be included in the passage. So we have mad, map, and bag. So you can just go over them with students if you want to, or if they're doing this independently, they can go ahead and practice saying each word. Then students will go to this page over here, and it says point to each word, read it aloud, then color it in. And I put little images here to help students remember what to do. So mad, they'll read it aloud, and then they will color it in. Map. Sam, Dad, had, Pam. So this is going to be similar to those 1-page decodables where they are going to practice the sounds in isolation first. And then down here, they're actually going to practice mapping some of the words as well. So here, say each word aloud, then write each sound you hear in its own box. So say and then write. Here we have map, a, p, and bag, b, a, g. Bag. So again, before they've even gotten to the passage here, they have practiced reading words in isolation, as well as doing some phoneme grapheme mapping with the skill. Then I have students read the passage 3 times, and they'll color in a book after each reading. So they'll go ahead and read it, they'll try their best. These are decodable, so students should have, most of the words are gonna have this short A sound, and they are at least 80 to 85% decodable actually, so they should be able to decode everything in here, except some of the sight words, which you may have already pre-taught them, or they learned as heart words, however you want to do that. After they read the passage each time, they will color in a book to make sure they've done it 3 times, and then it has them go back in and underline the short A words that they found. So Sam, Pam, had, bag, map, has. So they'll go in and find all those target words. Lastly, on the back, to show comprehension, students are just going to draw a quick sketch about what happened in the story. Again, I don't focus too much on, a really great illustration here. I mostly want to see that they can draw some key parts in the story, maybe add some labels so we know what's going on. But again, it's just to check their comprehension of what they read. So I love these little books. We have a ton of them coming out. There's basically going to be one for each of the skills that are also included in my 1-page decodables. So it'll walk through that whole phonics progression. And yeah, students will do each part. It's a lot of fun. I hope you're excited about those. I am so excited about them. I was really trying to figure out what I wanted included in them and how I wanted to make them work. So I'm very happy with that idea. And again, they are differentiated because students will each have their own books if you want. They can be independent, they can be, in a small group, but students will walk through the same steps based on the skill that they are working on. As you can see with these phonics centers, of course, we're going to have a lot of encoding and decoding practice because both are going to be very beneficial to teaching your students how to read. But with number 5, I wanted to switch it up a little, and my 5th favorite differentiated phonics center is called Roll a Word. Here's a picture of what this looks like, and as you can see here, students will work on a little onset and rhyme practice. So here they're going to be working with different word parts and not necessarily with whole words at a time. So here students will roll a word, and they will simply roll 1 die at a time, and this can be a partner game. The 2 different color cubes here represent 2 different partners, but students could play this independently if they wanted to as well. So here, if a student rolls a 3 like they did in the picture, they would have to make a word using the sound. And up at the top right, we have our 2 categories to make a word. Now, sometimes students will actually be able to take the onset and make a word with both of the rhymes here. So an, man, and add, mad. But other times, depending on what they rolled, they can only make 1 word. And they get to entirely choose which word they want to make. So here with that sound, they could go ahead and make add and find one of those pictures. There's 2 there on the board where somebody is feeling mad, and they can cover it up with their color cube. This type of game kind of levels up the intensity a little bit when students are thinking about individual word parts. They're blending those parts together, and they're also getting to choose, looking at a little comprehension too, decoding the word, what does this actually mean, and decide what word they want to cover up on their board. So there's a lot here, but it's a fun game for them, and it's not always going to be onset and rhyme. Sometimes it'll just be where the skill fits in the word. So here, for example, students are working on the SH sound, so that is the skill, and over on the side where they are rolling it in, they have to put that SH in the missing category. And you can see sometimes it will be at the beginning of the word and sometimes it will be at the end of the word. So depending on what they roll here, students will have to make ship, shell, fish, trash, brush, and shirt. And then after they roll it, of course, they will cover it up with a cube, or they can color it in with their color crayon. This is another fun differentiated one because, again, based on the skill, students are always rolling a word, just the type of word they're going to roll or make is a little bit different. Now, before we get too far along in this video, I do want to tell you where you can get all these phonics centers. 3 of them are already on TPT, but all of them here, all 6 of them technically, because 1A and 1B, all of them are found in the SJT Literacy Club. So first, over on TPT, we have the 1-page decodables, we have spin, say, spell, and we have say, tap, write. So if you're not in the Literacy Club and you don't want to join the Literacy Club, all 3 of those are on TPT that you can go ahead and purchase. But again, just so you know, all of them, including those 3, are in the SJT Literacy Club, and the SJT Literacy Club is open now for its second year. So if you're watching this video as it just came out or shortly after, then I'm excited to tell you you can join the Literacy Club for the 22-23 school year, and here is a quick look of some of the stuff included. Hey everyone, this is the SJT Literacy Club. I just wanted to show you a little bit about what is inside. This is actually the second year that it will be going, so there has been a ton added in this last year. So there are 5 different sections. We have phonological and phonemic awareness, we have phonics, we have comprehension, vocabulary, and fluency. Those are the main areas. And then down here we have bonuses, and this says Video Vault. So just to show you real quick, there's a couple different ways you can view it. Over on the left-hand side, if you want to see any more of the activities, you can click on these arrows, and then these are the 5 areas. So in phonological and phonemic awareness, we have a scope and sequence. We have a bunch of different activities that you can use here. What's the rule? I Spy slides. These are ones that you can display on your smartboard. We have beginning sound match. We have phoneme segment, and that's for phoneme isolation. We have phoneme segmentation, where we have some sound slides that are interactive. We have phoneme manipulation cards for the teacher. We have rhyme time slides. And these, again, they get added to every single month. So more and more gets added. Here are a ton of different phonics games. We have a high frequency word scope and sequence for heart words. We have roll a word, which I shared in this video. Bunches of different word sorts, word ladders, decodable board games, phonics find it sheets. Here we have flip it, say it, make it, write it, which I shared. A read the room activity, missing letter worksheets, bingo. And then here are the other 2 that I shared are say, tap, and write center, along with the spin, say, and spell center. Then we have a whole section for alphabet knowledge, and syllable practice for all the different types of syllables is included in here. And then we also have digital activities, and this continues to get added to too. We have a couple video games that can be played on the computer, some matching memory games, blending slides, just so much. Here's comprehension, just to show you quickly each one. In comprehension, this is something that's still getting built out, but we have monthly nonfiction passages that go through every month. September's is getting added soon. And then we have decodable comprehension passages that are available in a printable version, as well as Seesaw and Google. Then we also have vocabulary. So in the vocabulary section, we have some multiple meaning triangle activities, and then we have themed vocabulary, and there's a fall one that is being added this upcoming month. And then we have fluency, which again, we have more of these coming too. But here we have some roll and race fluency mats, and we have more in here. Under the bonus section, everybody that is a member of the SJT Literacy Club gets access to my 1-page decodable interventions that were mentioned in this video, my phonics poem unit, and my phonics games unit. So tons of print and play phonics games in there. And then lastly, the last section is this video vault here. And the video vault has all of my YouTube videos that are related to phonics and phonemic awareness. All sorts of different games on here. You can just click each one. It's just an easy way to find it and watch the video So if you're wondering how to teach sight words according to the science of reading, you could simply click play and watch it right here. So nice and easy. And as you are a member, every month, new activities will be added to these sections. The SJT Literacy Club has been a labor of love this past year. I've really used the input of all the teachers included in the club to really figure out what types of resources you guys need. And as you saw, there's other things in there, not just phonics related. We have a whole section on phonological phonemic awareness. We have fluency, comprehension, vocabulary, all sorts of fun stuff. And it's still getting added to each and every month. I will go ahead and link down below in the description where you can find the products that are on TPT, as well as a link to the Literacy Club in case you want to check it out, see what's involved. And if you have any questions, of course, ask me down in the comments. I'll answer them for you. So there you have 5 of my favorite differentiated phonics activities. Like I said, I love them because the activity is going to be largely the same. Whatever the directions are or whatever process students have to go through is going to be the same, and you could give it to all your students, meaning you only have to teach it one time, and then, or probably like 2 or 3 times, but you know, mostly just that one time with a little review. And then you can differentiate it based on what skills your students are working on. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up so I know. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel and click that bell. That way you're notified of every new video. See you in the next one. Bye.